BSN presents Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball. From Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, it's the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Brought to you by Petro-Canada Dealers and Agents. Our energy is Canada. And by General Motors of Canada Limited. Usually when the New York Yankees come to Toronto, all the controversy is in their dugout. They are famous for controversy. But I think for the first time in the history of the Blue Jays franchise, they have some serious controversy between their manager, Jimmy Williams, and last year's MVP, George Bell. And Buck Martinez, how long do you think this one will last? And could it be the beginning of the end for George Bell?
Well, Fergie, you and I both know that it's been glazed over since spring training, and things just haven't been the same here. It's especially big in Toronto because, like you mentioned, it's the first time there's been anything like this. Bell did not play good defense on this road trip. It came to a head in Minneapolis when he was confronted after an inning when Jimmy Williams asked him why he threw to home plate when he should have thrown it back to the infield. But he's been benched. Williams said, I'll put him back in the lineup when I'm good and ready to.
Could Williams' stand come a little too late the way the team's playing?
Well, it's a stand. He's the manager, and maybe it is too late. There are only 60 games left, and they've got to really put a streak together.
Okay, and Buck Martinez will be back in just a couple of minutes' time to talk with the Blue Jays manager, Jimmy Williams, about the incident, so don't go away. Welcome back to Exhibition Stadium for the first game of a three-game series, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. It'll be right-hander Rich Dotson for the Yankees. His 18th start, he's 8-3 against Jeff Musselman, who is 2-0. Now, let's go to that interview with Buck Martinez and Blue Jay manager Jimmy Williams.
Jimmy Williams, your decision to bench George Bell, is it based on anything more than his play in left field?
It's based on what happened the other night, Buck. Looking at it realistically, as far as his skills, he had kind of a rough road trip defensively, but certainly if the situation hadn't arisen where we had the confrontation in Minnesota earlier this week, he'd still be playing left field.
You weren't questioning his error, his physical error, as much as the probably the mental aspect behind it.
Not questioning his physical error at all. Question is thinking, you know. There's a mental part of this game, too, execution that you expect from, you know, all your players, especially from a veteran player. With the score 3-0, man, on first and second, nobody out, base hit the left. You want to keep the double play in order. And that went out the window, and I guess maybe it just kind of snowballed from maybe other situations or other games that happened on the course of that road trip.
You've taken him out of the lineup now. Can you anticipate when you might put him back in that lineup?
I guess that's within my own mind right now, Buck, and the only way for you to find out whether he's going to be in a lineup, of course, he's not starting tonight, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to use him. But the only way to find out whether he's going to be in a lineup or not is to come and check the lineup card prior to a game.
Do you think the relationship between you and George Bell can be repaired, or will it improve any from this point?
It'll never be repaired. It might not ever improve, and, you know, that doesn't bother me, because our priority here is to win games. His job is to go play as hard as he can, as good as he can, and execute to the best of his capabilities, as are mine. I mean, I can't hit or anything, but certainly whatever decisions I make on the bench, whether it's removing pitchers, there's probably been other pitchers that have been mad at me, or pinch hitters or whatever, but it might improve. I'd have to say, thinking right now, that the chances of it aren't that great.
Well, you heard Blue Jay manager Jimmy Williams. The chances aren't that great of the relationship improving between himself and George Bell, and I think he's got it right on the nose.
Well, he's not concerned about relationships. Managers and players, there have been a lot of them that haven't gotten along over the years, but I think Jimmy Williams has put it in proper perspective. All you got to do is win.
Jeff Musselman, he's 2-0 and has allowed just one earned run in 13 innings since his return from Syracuse and surgery, which he had back in December the 18th to repair a small muscle tear in his left shoulder. But what a great addition he has been to this ball club. And the starting lineup that he'll be facing, the New York Yankees, is brought to you by Apple Canada.
For the Yankees and Lou Piniella, Ricky Henderson on a tear lately. He scored the first inning of 7 out of the last 8 games. Don Mattingly, great hitter, batting second, playing first base tonight. Dave Winfield in right field. The DH is Jack Clark. Don Slott finally back after a hamstring pull. Gary Ward will play in center tonight. Willie Randolph having a bit of an off year with the bat. He'll be at second base. Luis Aguayo, acquired from the Phillies, will be the third baseman tonight, replacing Mike Pagliarulo. And Rafael Santana will bat ninth and play shortstop.
As far as the defense is concerned, out in left field tonight will be a veteran Rick Leach, replacing Bell, Mosby and Barfield, Gruber, Fernandez, Manny Lee, who has been nothing short of sensational at second base, and Fred McGriff, who leads the club in home runs, and the veteran Ernie Witt, who, by the way, will be our guest on Extra Innings tonight. And you can ask Ernie about the statement he was supposed to make today, and he was misquoted, he said. And, of course, I'm sure he'll talk about the George Bell incident. But leading it off is Ricky Henderson. And what a season he is having.
322, 6 homers, and 33 RBIs. He makes this ball club tick. Boy, when he gets on, when he starts to run, they can do a lot of things, and that's what Henderson has been doing lately.
Henderson has led off the last 10 games, reaching first base safely, and has scored a first-inning run in each of the 7 games before last night. And even last night against Milwaukee, he singled. He was on at first, and then Mattingly hit into a double play. And Henderson hitting .483 against the Blue Jays this year.
Musselman's caught his spikes on the mound and had to stop his delivery.
2 balls and no strikes to Henderson.
Of course, with no runners on base, that's not a balk. He just simply stops his motion.
Outside, 3-0.
Boy, this is what you don't want to do to start the ball game off. Walk Ricky Henderson. It's like an automatic double.
He's got 55 stolen bases.
He says his legs are feeling great.
And he's playing for manager Lou Piniella, too. So Ricky Henderson is on with a walk.
Ricky Henderson in stealing bases, which is most important to you, speed and acceleration or knowledge of the pitcher?
I think both, a combination. Really, you can have speed and don't have the knowledge. You don't really steal a lot of base. I think you got to learn about the pitcher. You got to have the knowledge to know when to get a jump and when to go. So I think the speed and the combination is you got to have both of them for it to steal a base.
Musselman's got a pretty good pickoff move to first. Mattingly, the hitter, takes a strike in the inside corner.
Henderson was going back towards the bag as you look at Mattingly's numbers. Boy, has he come on after a slow start. 10 homers, his RBI's up to 53.
Since the All-Star break, he's been hitting .426, 4 home runs, 12 runs driven in. Line drive, center field, base hit. Oh, it sure doesn't take these Yankees long, does it?
They're on a hot streak, and they're such a talented ball club when you got a guy like Don Mattingly batting in that second slot. Takes this pitch from Musselman right back through the middle up the center field alley. But Don Mattingly, you can see his average coming into this game, .330. What a great hitter he is. Criticized by George Steinbrenner right at the All-Star break that he wasn't producing. What's he done? He's just gone out there and produced.
Well, these two teams have played 7 games, and there's the controversial George Bell.
Sitting on the pine tonight. But Jimmy Williams said he'll use him if he gets into a situation where he needs a pinch hitter.
The Yankees have won 4 of the 7, won 3 out of 4 here.
Musselman,
the Jays won 2 out of 3 in New York.
Excuse me, Fergie. Musselman can't forget about Henderson at second base. He's very adept at stealing third. It's a great jump. He relies an awful lot on excellent acceleration. He's at full speed after one full step.
Winfield squared to bunt. Here's a guy hitting .340. Look at the numbers. 76 runs batted in.
Winfield also criticized for lack of production.
Well, Steinbrenner's always criticizing Winfield, no matter what happens or what he does. 2 balls and no strikes.
This is a tough spot for the young left-hander, falling behind as he has on Winfield. Winfield is so good at cripple shooting when he's got the count in his favor.
What do you think all this controversy will do to the rest of the Blue Jays?
Well, they're going to have to pick up themselves, cinch up their belt, and just go to work.
Base hit, right field. Henderson to third. He'll stay there as the powerful arm of Jesse Barfield comes through as he fires a strike to McGriff. The bases are loaded. Nobody out.
That ball almost got out of Barfield's glove. He snow-coned it. His Winfield, as I mentioned, with the count in his favor, is tough. 2 balls, no strikes. Laces one into right. Watch the ball come to the top of Barfield's glove. Almost got out of that glove. Henderson can only round third, and he's held up by Gene Michael, third base coach, but the Yankees have the bases loaded once again in the first inning.
Galen Cisco out to talk to Musselman. Musselman has been sensational. He beat California 12-2, went 6 innings, and that one gave up 4 hits. And then he came back and beat Seattle 5-2 over 7 innings and gave up just 4 hits in that one. And a home run to Darnell Coles. That's the only run he's given up in 13 innings.
Galen Cisco out to talk with Jeff Musselman, trying to impress upon him. You got to pitch ahead. You got to use your pitches now. Go ahead and throw that breaking pitch over, as there's Frank Wills already up and throwing down the left field line. John Sullivan, the bullpen coach, looking on.
So you got Henderson at third, Mattingly at second, and Winfield at first. Jack Clark with his 19 home runs, 66 runs batted in. He is 0 for 9 on Blue Jay pitching this year. Home plate umpire is Rich Garcia. John Hirschbeck down at first. Rick Reed at second and Dale Scott at third.
Well, Musselman went strike 1 with Clark, and that's a start. He's got to pitch ahead, establish that he can throw all of his pitches over the plate. Inside with the slider. Jack Clark likes to extend those hands, likes the ball out over the plate, something he can drive. Not a real pull hitter. He'll utilize the whole field, left center, right center, power alleys. He's got strength to hit it out of any ballpark in that direction.
Could be 2. Fernandez to second. They get 1. Double play. And Henderson scores. The Yankees lead it 1-0.
Take a good look at this double play. You won't see a finer double play turned by anybody. Fernandez going deep in the hole and flips the ball right on the money to Manny Lee. We've talked about the progress of Manny Lee around second. Watch the way he turns this double play. Winfield right on top of Manny Lee. Jack Clark, of course, doesn't have any speed at all, but that was one fine double play. Fernandez showing great range. Manny Lee really hanging in there with Winfield bearing down on him.
Don Slott, the hitter, with 2 down, and Mattingly at third. Yankees lead it 1-0.
Jimmy Williams has made an adjustment. As you look at Slott stepping up there, he's come back from a hamstring pull that had him sidelined.
Slott has been hot. That's a foul ball down the right side, hitting .375 in his last 7 games. And what an acquisition he has been for the New York Yankees.
Well, Slott didn't get an awful lot of chance to play over there in Texas, and they said, well, let's make a deal for him. They sent him to New York. Got off to a great start with the bat, and then went down to that hamstring pull, and it lingered a lot longer than they expected.
Musselman ahead in the count. No balls, 2 strikes.
Boy, if Musselman can get out of this inning with just 1 run, he's got to feel great relief. Loaded the bases with nobody out, and Jack Clark, the hitter. He gave up a run on the double play ball, but he'll take that right now. That's a good pitch right there, way off the plate inside, trying to establish the fact that I've got to have half of the plate. He needs that outer half with that sinking fastball.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Don Slott. The Yankees a half game behind Detroit. Just inside, full count.
So Musselman thought he had a called strike in there. Richie Garcia disagreeing with him. Musselman broke towards the dugout. There's a crew chief, Rich Garcia. Called it inside, so it's a full count.
That's foul down the left side. It looks to be just over 40,000 fans here tonight. Tickets are awfully hard to get for this series.
Boy, you can't keep them away whenever the Yankees come north of the border. A lot of fans naturally down around Buffalo make their way up here.
You know, we've talked every series, I think, for the last 2 or 3 weeks has been the most crucial for the Blue Jays. This one is for sure.
Well, you know, with the Yankees only a half game behind the Tigers, you definitely don't want to lose too much ground to either one of those teams. Only that loss last night by the Yankees to Milwaukee kept them out of first place.
And he gets a Musselman. Nice job. Bases loaded, nobody out, and the Yankees only get 1 run. You're watching Lebec, Blue Jays baseball on TSN. His 18th start of the season. He's 9-7 lifetime against the Blue Jays. 1-0 this year in 2 starts. The starting lineup for Toronto is brought to you by Apple Canada.
For the Blue Jays, Jimmy Williams, Tony Fernandez in that leadoff spot. What a double play he started to top the first inning. Lloyd Mosby in center field. The DH, Lance Mullenix. Kelly Gruber in that cleanup spot. Ernie Witt hasn't retired. He's batting 5th. Fred McGriff had a nice road trip. 7 home runs on the trip. Jesse Barfield in right field. Rick Leach playing in left field in place of George Bell. Manny Lee, what an adjustment he's made in playing a whale of a second base. He'll bat 9th.
Leach has not made an error this year in over 60 chances. Henderson, who's made 10 errors, playing out in left field. Ward in Winfield. Aguaya, Santana, the captain of the ball club, Willie Randolph, Don Mattingly, and Don Slott doing the catching.
Lou Piniella, did you expect to be back on the field as quickly as you have been here in New York?
No, not really, Buck. I was a general manager during the season, off-season, in spring training, and first part of the season. I really didn't like the clerical aspects of the job, the administrative aspects, and the hours. I enjoyed working with the players and being on the field, so I went out and started scouting, and I was evaluating our farm system, and the Yankees called me back. But truthfully, I was very surprised.
You never know who's going to be in their lineup or who's managing. You got to check your scorecards all the time.
Players coming in.
They sent Al Leiter, the left-hander, down and brought up Al Morris from Columbus today. Well, Morris is in the dugout as Fernandez fouls off that first pitch. Tony's been hot last 8 games, hitting close to 400.
Looks as though he's finally over those knee problems. He's exhibited great range in the last road trip, and that play in the first inning is another reminder that he looks healthy again.
And you heard
You heard him holler. Yeah. I think that was Tony holler no, and Dotson saying look out. Oh, but nobody was hit. Look at Tony smiling. That's what happened. He said, yeah, he's coming inside, but he hollered at me. He didn't want to hit him to start the inning.
Dotson beat the Blue Jays 5-1 here April the 13th. And then did not figure in the decision in his other start on the 24th. Little looper out into left field, drops in for a base hit for Fernandez. It is cut off by Henderson. There goes Fernandez into second. What a great job of hustling.
That's the aggressive style of play the Blue Jays exhibited for the last few years, and we haven't seen an awful lot of it, but Fernandez sends a signal early to the Yankees when he slashes this ball into right center. He sees Henderson coming over and really not hustling hard to get it. He's over to cut it off easily. It's an easy play for him, but Fernandez picks up on it and sees that he's got a chance to go into second base when Henderson's ball drifts off the bag at second. Fernandez slides in there with a head-first slide. You see Randolph has to go off the bag.
Tony still doesn't run that well.
Looks like there's a little bit of a hesitation in his stride.
The shaker, Lloyd Mosby. With Fernandez down at second, Mosby a chance to tie up this ball game. Last 12 games, Mosby hitting 189. Big home run the other night, Monday night in Minneapolis. A 3-run shot out Atherton to put the Jays ahead, and they couldn't hold a 4-2 lead.
Dotson is a control pitcher. Fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, and he's got to really spot his pitches. Not an overpowering pitcher, but boy, he's got a lot of savvy out on the mound.
Appears to me, Buck, he's the type of pitcher to throw a changeup off the changeup. And you never know what speed you're going to get from him.
He mixes up his speeds and his pitches.
3 balls and no strikes to Mosby.
Well, the other night in Minneapolis, we saw Mosby with a 3-0 count get the green light and hit that one in the upper deck, but I don't think you'll have the green light in this situation.
Boston leading Milwaukee 6-4. Stanley is on the mound for Boston. Wegman started for Milwaukee. He was swinging 3-0. Ground ball to Randolph. And Fernandez moves on down to third.
Well, that's an important play by Mosby. When he did get the green light, he had to make sure that he got a ball that he could pull on the right side, if nothing more than to advance Fernandez to third, and that's what he did. He gets his job done.
Bill Mullenix steps in against the right-hander Rich Dotson. Rance, a lifetime 300 hitter off these Yankees with 7 home runs. He really has been Mr. Consistency.
Well, he went through that spell in Minneapolis where he had a bad night Monday night, went out, worked hard, extra BP on Tuesday.
Ground ball to the shortstop. This will score Fernandez. And Mullenix is out, and that's the way to manufacture a run.
Isn't baseball simple? You hit a double, you advance the runner to third, then you hit a ground ball to the shortstop. It's a tie ball game. Nice job by Rance Mullenix. He took what Dotson would give him. That's a ground ball out away from him and slapped it to short. RBI, and we got a tie ball game.
Kelly Gruber steps in. Gruber talking to him today, and he is over that bout of flu that he had in Minneapolis. Little change-up curve that drops in for a strike.
You know, you look back to the first inning, bases loaded with Jack Clark at the plate, and you've really got to think that this is a good sign when they get out of it with only allowing 1 run to the Yankees.
Line to center field, and Ward hardly has to move. So the Blue Jays come back and tie up this game at 1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. The Yankees and the Blue Jays, we go to the second inning. The Jays 5-5 in their last 10 games. The Yankees have won 7 of their last 10. The Yankees a half game behind Detroit. This telecast is presented by authority, the Toronto Blue Jays, and may not be rebroadcast in any form without the express written consent of the Jays. Leading it off for the Yankees will be center fielder Gary Ward. Randolph and Aguayo for the Yankees will follow. Musselman, a couple of hits in the first inning and a walk, and as Buck was telling you, the bases loaded, nobody out. Jack Clark up, hits into a double play, and then Slot strikes out. So hopefully Musselman will have settled down.
That's got to be a big boost to his confidence getting out of that situation, as I mentioned. And he had fallen behind in the first inning.
That evens up the count to Ward, who's really been struggling at the plate. Just 1 hit in his last 26 appearances. Last year, 16 home runs and drove in 78. He's in his 8th season and pretty good ball player. Kind of guy that's handy to have. Will come off the bench, get you a key base hit, and still hit the long ball. Strikeout number 2 for Musselman.
Ward goes after a high fastball, and Musselman showing signs of getting out of that first inning streak where he was falling behind the hitters. Galen Cisco went out before Clark came up when the bases were loaded and reminded him, hey, you got to get ahead. You got to throw strikes on that first pitch, and that'll really give you the leeway to throw all your other pitches.
Willie Randolph. Pitch is low.
You know, as these guys come up to the plate, you see Ward struggling, Willie Randolph, 232, his average way down. And you wonder why these guys are up there at the top of the division.
That's popped up out of the shallow center field. Mosby coming hard. He's got it.
he had a long ways to run. But the ball hung up there for him, gave him a chance to run under it. And with that good speed, he made a nice catch. Randolph, just a little flare out to center. But it looked as though it was going to drop in there. You can see how hard Mosby's coming. Fernandez goes back hard, but Mosby's got the best shot and makes the catch.
So with 2 down, Luis Aguayo, the third baseman that was picked up from Philadelphia. And he's been a nice addition to this Yankee club. Pagliarulo, of course, on the 15-day disabled.
What Aguayo does for this ball club, he can play all the infield positions. Third base, of course, tonight. Generally a second baseman, but coming over just after the All-Star break. He's hitting 6 of 9 games. Hit 247 with the Phillies.
When he played shortstop for the Yankees, he was the 31st Yankee to play shortstop with Willie Randolph at second base. And what's Willie in his 13th season?
Sure is. Shows you the kind of consistency he exhibits.
Lines it to center field, base hit for Aguayo.
The Yankees have always been aware that they've got to have these role players like Aguayo. They went out, they picked him up, said, hey, you're not going to play all the time, but when we need you, fill in for injured people, we're going to give you the opportunity to play. And he responds with a base hit right here.
The shortstop,
Santana,
17,
Rafael Santana, the shortstop, will step in. Came over from the Mets. Acquired for a minor league pitcher. That was the first ever trade between the Mets and the Yankees.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
Isn't it?
All those years they were in the same city, never made a deal. Santana really maligned early in the year under the management of Billy Martin, saying, hey, this guy can't play. I don't want him on my team. He wanted Randy Velarde up there. So it works out. Pinella is getting some good play from Santana.
Good changeup by Musselman. Evens up the count of the ball and the strike.
Look at Santana's numbers, 242 with 27 RBIs. That's pretty good production.
You know, it's interesting. You got all this controversy swirling in that Blue Jay dugout, and here's a young guy. All he wants to do is just go out there and pitch, do his job, and the headlines in all the newspapers about George Bell. Of course, that's the way it was in spring training, too. And a lot of the players were upset in spring training that was happening.
Well, there's a look at Bell sitting on the bench. Jim Clancy, pretty good outing the other night in Minnesota. But, you know, you're right. Hey, once they step on the field, most of these guys forget about it. They got enough problems just getting through 9 innings of work. You hate to hear about it in the clubhouse all the time. But, hey, that's part of the game. It's happened before. It happened with this Yankee ball club for years with Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson. And the ball players, once they step on the field, they got to put all that behind them, put it out of their minds, and think about the task ahead of them.
A ball and 2 strikes to Santana. Aguayo at first. Flare down the right field line, but it'll land in foul territory and bounce into the stands. Barfield in the lineup tonight. And Jesse, the other day in Minnesota, cracked out his 8th home run of the season.
Off a pretty tough pitcher, Frank Viola. Hopefully that's an indication of things to come.
Texas leading Detroit 2-1 in the 7th inning. Ground ball to Manny Lee, the second baseman, an easy out. So the Yankees leave Aguayo stranded. And we head to the bottom of the second, still tied at 1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Those two gentlemen will be busy men tonight. Johnny McLaren at third, Billy Smith talking with home plate umpire Rich Garcia halfway up the line. I think Garcia is one of the better umpires in the game.
He sure is, Fergie. He's very consistent. He takes charge of the ball game. You know that he's behind the plate. I felt that he was always the best guy to work with behind the plate. Always communicated with everybody. Came up there, said, this is a strike. This is why I think it's a strike. I don't want to hear anything more about it. He was in charge. There was never any doubt about that. I always enjoyed working in front of Richie Garcia.
3 hits for the Yankees and just 1 for the Blue Jays. This game is tied at 1. Ernie Witt will lead things off for the Blue Jays. And, of course, Radio broadcaster Jerry Howard mentioned from Minnesota on Wednesday that Witt would have an announcement this Friday about his retirement. And Ernie said he was just simply misquoted, or misunderstood, not even misquoted. And he said, heck, he doesn't want to retire.
Taken out of context, evidently.
And, with Jerry Howard, of course, he's usually right on the button.
In the clubhouse earlier, he told me, why should I retire? I got my average up to 237. It's been a struggle for Ernie, but he's swinging the bat a little better of late.
A lifetime .307 hitter against these Yankees. 9 home runs. And the Yankees, a team that Blue Jays have talked trade with over Ernie Witt past year and a half.
You know, he's hitting .342 in his last 11 games, and that's a sign that things are starting to turn around for Ernie. All the way back to that first series in Yankee Stadium. Ernie Witt hit the ball hard all series long, didn't have much to show for it. It's been that kind of year all year long.
We do have some technical problems with our camera out in center field. That's why you're not seeing that particular shot. We're trying to rectify the situation, and I know the guys are at it right now, so hopefully we'll have that camera back for you just as soon as possible. 3 balls and a strike to Ernie Witt. The Gremlins are at it again. Inside, ball 4. Witt is on with a walk.
Well, Dotson certainly didn't want to walk Witt with Fred McGriff coming to the plate. McGriff coming off a great road trip. 7 home runs on the trip.
Hitting .375. 16 runs batted in. He got his 22nd home run Wednesday off Viola in Minnesota.
We talked about 35 back in spring training was a realistic number for Fred McGriff. He's right on pace for that.
All he has to do is stay healthy. Kiss this baby goodbye. Number 23 for Fred McGriff. The Jays lead it 3-1. A rope to right center field.
When Pat Gillick made that trade between the Yankees sending Dale Murray over there for Dave Collins, basically, Fred McGriff was a throw-in. Now you look, 23 homers, just 6-3 behind the leader, Canseco, and the Yankees in that dugout are saying, man, if we had this kid on our team, we'd really be a ball club. Off-speed pitch out over the plate, great extension. McGriff has untapped power. He can hit balls a mile.
Now it's Jesse Barfield. Pitch is outside for a ball. 3-1, the Blue Jays leading the Yankees, 2nd inning. What a weekend this is going to be. One thing about it, you'll see lots of offense when these 2 teams get together.
Both clubs can really swing those bats. And if you get Mosby and Barfield swinging up to their abilities.
Well, the Yankees have outscored the Jays 44-38 in the 7 games played so far. Yankees lead the series 4-3. Strike to Barfield, 2-1. Jesse with just 6 home runs in his last 66. 91 degrees at game time. And look at the sweat on Dotson. Slow chopper up the middle. Base hit off the end of the bat for Barfield. Looks like a line drive in the old scorebook.
At this point of the season, Jesse Barfield will be thrilled with that base hit. That's a start. That puts one up in the hit column for him to start the game. Off-speed pitch he was out in front of. Hits it off the end of the bat. Now watch it spin away from the shortstop. Just has enough spin on it that it's going to trickle into center field and get Jesse Barfield his first hit of the night.
Now Rick Leach steps in. Starting in left field tonight in place of George Bell. The only Blue Jay that has failed to hit a home run this season. Leach has been hot, has hit safely in 11 of his last 13 games, a .388 average.
Boy, you look back to opening day of this season when Leach had 4 hits and 6 at-bats. He got a start as the DH, batted 9th. What a big day he had. There's a look at the skipper back for his second stint as a Yankee manager.
And he was looking right up here at the old press box with a big smile on his face.
I played with Lou in 1969. He was the Rookie of the Year in Kansas City. It was my rookie year also.
How many votes did you get that year?
I didn't get as many as Lou. I think my mom sent 2 in.
Nobody out, 3-1, Blue Jays leading. Hit hard to right, a base hit for Leach.
Winfield with a great arm in right field. Barfield has to hold up at second. But the Jays are showing an awful lot of offense early. Rick Leach places a Dotson pitch in the hole on the right side. Don Slott's going to go out there and buy some time for his manager, Rich Dotson, telling Slott about some location. So we got to move the ball around. We got to spot our pitches a little better. As Neil Allen gets up and begins to throw for Lou Piniella.
He's a 10-year veteran. Not doing a bad job this season. He's 4-2 for the Yankees. Used in relief.
Boy, look at Pinella's slow walk out there. He's taking his time. And the infielders are having a meeting behind the mound. There's all kinds of meetings going on here. Piniella talking with Slott and Dotson, saying, I know you guys know what you're doing out here. There's a look at Mattingly holding meetings, telling the rest of the infielders about the defensive alignment. The veterans on the right side, Mattingly and Randolph, are very used to the signs, but the newcomers on the left side, Aguayo at third, Santana's been here all year, but still in his first year as a Yankee. They're going to make sure they understand the bunt plays. That's what Mattingly's talking about right now with Manny Lee coming up. Runners at first and second. They're looking for a bunt. They're going to be charging hard from the corners. Mattingly at first, Aguayo at third.
Dotson started the year out at 5-0. That was in his first 7 starts. Lays down a perfect bunt. One play, that's the first. Randolph covering, and they get Manny Lee. A sacrifice bunt for Lee, and the runners move up. Barfield to third, Leach to second.
Textbook baseball right there. Manny Lee put it down in a perfect spot. Right up the third base line. Not hard enough for the third baseman to get it. He made the pitcher field it. But Dotson has only one play. That's the first base, and Manny Lee made it close at first with a good effort down the line.
Now Dotson will face Tony Fernandez, who doubled and scored in the first inning. 3-1, Blue Jays leading the Yankees. First game of this 3-game series. Tomorrow, the left-hander John Candelaria at 11-6 will go against Mike Flanagan at 10-6. Candelaria 1-1 against the Blue Jays this season. Flanagan has made 2 starts against the Yankees, and both were no decision starts. And on Sunday, it'll be Rick Rhoden against Jimmy Key. Pitch is outside for a ball.
With 1 out, Pinella's playing his infield defense back up the middle. He's going to concede a run and try to cut down a ground ball and hold Leach at second base. So he'll give up 1 run trying to get it out and keeping Leach from scoring on a base hit.
Fly ball, center field. Barfield will tag. Ward will throw to third as Leach faked the move to third and went back to second. So it is 4-1 for Toronto. Sacrifice fly RBI for Tony Fernandez, his 41st of the season.
Fernandez went up to home plate with an idea of getting a ball he could drive to the outfield, and that's exactly what he does as Barfield gets congratulations around in the dugout. And the Blue Jays are playing textbook baseball tonight to take a 3-run lead over the Yankees here in the bottom of the second.
Lloyd Mosby. He grounded out to the second baseman, swung at a 3-0 pitch, and advanced Fernandez down to third in the first inning. And then Mullenix, with a ground ball to the shortstop, scored him. That's hit out into shallow left field. Henderson coming in to make the play for the third out. But the Blue Jays score 3 runs on 3 hits, and Fred McGriff's 23rd home run of the season. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Blue Jay lead over the New York Yankees. As the top of the order for the Yankees, Ricky Henderson, Don Mattingly, and Dave Winfield. Henderson led off the first inning with a walk. Mattingly singled. Winfield, he singled to load the bases, and Jack Clark hit into that double play, and Slot struck out. So let's see what Musselman can do with the top of the Yankee order. Henderson, 16 for 31 in his last 8 games, 11 stolen bases. Takes a strike on the outside part of the plate.
I can't emphasize enough how much it meant Jeff Musselman to get out of that first inning, only allowing 1 run.
Well, we saw it. Jimmy Williams had Frank Wills up and throwing in the Jays bullpen.
It really boosts the spirits of the ball club when you've got the bases loaded, nobody out. Jack Clark, the cleanup hitter, batting. And Musselman threw a perfect ground ball for the double play. Got out of the inning, getting Slot strike out, only giving up 1 run.
A weak ground ball hit to Manny Lee. 1 down. Manny Lee has really solidified this infield, I think.
First baseman, number
His
23.
defense has improved immensely. He's confident playing second base like Garcia played for so many years here, doing a great job turning the double play. At the same time, his average continues to climb, batting .294 on the season.
Mattingly. Mattingly came into this game tonight hitting .324 against the Blue Jays this season. No home runs, 3 RBIs. High fly ball. You probably heard Mattingly at the plate. Mosby in center for the second out.
He said, "Ah, heck, I got a good pitch to hit," and he popped it up. That's what happens when great hitters know what's going on. They're so aware of themselves at home plate. He got a pitch he felt he should drive and just popped it up. Not too happy with that at bat.
The right fielder, number 31.
It's such an awesome lineup, the New York Yankees, offensively. And, you know, the one thing that they have lacked over the years, it seems like they've lacked, has been pitching. But if you look at the numbers, you see here the Yankees are 4th in pitching in the American League this year, while the Blue Jays staff are 6th. You know, they always seem to put a patchwork staff together, it seems like.
Well, they've got the type of guys that are winners. They're not overly impressive with stats. Candelaria is 11-6. He's a winner. Dotson's got an 8-3 record. Tommy John, 8-3. They're just winning pitchers. They go out there and know how to beat you.
Can you believe that? At 45 years of age, Tommy John at 8-3 and needs only 15 more wins for 300.
I gotta believe he's going to do it. He takes such great care of himself. He's in such great shape. 15 wins might take him another couple of years, but I think he's going to do it.
Well, I hope he does.
Me too. What a class guy, Tommy John.
Winfield singled in the first inning and reaches for a strike on the outside part of the plate and fouls it on.
Jays have always had a lot of success against Winfield when they can get the off-speed pitch over the plate. Gordon Alexander used to throw him that bloop knuckleball from time to time, and it just gave Winfield fits. Musselman's aware of it. He's got that turnover changeup that he'll throw way off the plate inside. He'll try to stay away, occasionally popping the fastball inside. There it is, and he popped it up.
Winfield this season, though, what a great series he had in here in Toronto. 429, couple of home runs, 11 RBIs against the Blue Jays. Look where he sits in the American League, the hitting department.
You talk about him and you think power, RBIs and everything, but that 340 testimony to his ability as a hitter. 4th in the league behind some pretty good hitters.
He's hit 19 home runs, and he had a streak just recently where he went 27 games without hitting a homer.
He was upset about that, too.
Witt can't hang on to it.
Hit him right in the foot. Not too happy. Maybe he should have retired yesterday. Then he wouldn't have got hit in the foot. Foul tip right off the top of that instep.
Ernie probably said, well, I might as well get some publicity out of this. What the heck? Bell's grabbing it all. Ernie, our guest on Extra Innings tonight, immediately following this game.
Good
Pitch is low and away. And he gets Winfield for the 3rd strikeout of the night for Jeff Musselman. 3 up, 3 down. Jays lead it 4-1.
way out in front of that changeup off-speed pitch.
You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Blue Jays still 2 games under 500. The Yankees 17 over. As the Blue Jays, it seems like they just creep up to that 500 mark and toy with it and then lose a couple of games.
Slip back a little bit. The Labatt's player of the game for New York will receive the new Canon Sure Shot Multi-Tele with auto-retractable wide and tele-autofocus lens. This fully automatic camera loaded with extras is available now. The Canon Sure Shot Multi-Tele.
Rance Mullinax leads it off for Toronto. He does not have fond memories of the last Yankee series here because that's the one he was injured in. Henderson sliding into third, and Mullinax was the third baseman that day. Injured his knee, and
Kelly Gruber's happy about that. That's when he took over and really ran with it. That's when he got to play, knew he was going to play every day. That's turned his career around. Timing so important in this game. They've waited a long time for Gruber to come around, but that Mullinax injury to start this season really created Kelly Gruber.
you know that RBI by Mullinax in the first inning, that's only his 12th in his last 33 games. But he continues to get the base hits. Outside, 2-1.
He is such a great student of hitting. He knows himself as well as anybody. And when he can't figure it out, he generally calls his dad out in California and says, hey, Dad, I'm doing this. What should I do to adjust? What should I do to rectify that problem? And together, they generally get it back on track pretty quickly.
3-1. Well, Boston beat Milwaukee in game 1, 6-4. And Detroit got a home run from Alan Trammell in the 9th inning to beat Texas 3-2. Mullinax on with a walk. That'll bring up Kelly Gruber. Gruber lined out to Ward in center field. Gruber looks down to McLaren as Lou Piniella sitting and wondering what's happening in that Yankee dugout.
Well, you hate to walk yourself into problems, and that's what Rich Dotson has done. He walked Ernie Witt to start things off in the second. Fred McGriff followed with his 23rd home run.
See those numbers for Gruber? 42 extra base hits. Fouls that one off. That'll shake him up just above the Yankee dugout. Hopefully it didn't hurt anyone.
Well, Gruber, as you mentioned earlier, Ferg was troubled by the flu in that Minnesota series. Held him out of the first game, used him defensively, and the next night you could see that he still hadn't regained his strength. So it kind of knocked him down for a couple of days.
Fastball for a strike.
On the borderline, high strike. Richie Garcia feeling that caught enough of the letters. Garcia talked all year long about that new strike zone they brought into play this year. He said he didn't think it was going to change an awful lot. The guys can only do what they've done for their whole career.
It doesn't appear to have changed at all, does it?
No, not one bit. So much controversy about the strike zone and the balk call. The balk call has continued along all year long, but the strike zone turmoil has kind of settled out as the summer has gone longer.
4 hits for the Blue Jays off Dotson, including Fred McGriff's 23rd home run. 3 for the Yankees.
Dotson is such a veteran. He's out there moving the ball around. He knows he has a particular style of pitching, establishing the corners with his fastball, getting his off-speed pitch over the plate when he's behind, and he doesn't get too rattled. Good pitch right there. Gruber
Well, that was
just
a
had to
low
stay alive.
curveball, low and away, and Gruber went after it.
The thing about pitching for the Yankees, you know that the Yankees have so much thunder up and down that lineup, they can come back from any deficit. I'm sure that's what's keeping Dotson going out there on the mound.
The Yankees this season are 23-15 against starting left-handers. Reaches and fouls another one.
That's the thing that Gruber has really improved on this year. In past seasons, you get 2 strikes on him and you'll flip a breaking pitch up there and he'd strike out. This year, he is so tough taking that ball to right field, and he's fouled out some real tough pitches from Dotson. That breaking pitch down and away. Watch how Slot sets up outside once again.
Line down the left field corner. Fair ball. Mullenix round second, heads to third, and Gruber has a double. His 27th of the season.
Great job of hitting right there as Kelly Gruber battled tough against Rich Dotson until Dotson hung him a curveball. He had fouled off some real tough sliders and gets a curveball that stays on the inside half, and he wears it out. The only thing that kept this ball in the ballpark was altitude, because he laces it up against the left field fence. Ricky Henderson over quickly plays the carom, and the Blue Jays have runners at second and third.
Now Piniella out of the dugout talking to his catcher, Don Slott. Go out and stall for some time. Action once again in that Yankee bullpen. Neil Allen, number 27. Allen, 4-2 this season.
I think Allen's ready, and I think as soon as Slott makes his way back towards the mound, Lou Piniella's going to make the change. He's going to step out there and give him a look once more. He wants to know if he's ready. Stan Williams, big pitching coach. Piniella's going to make a change. He wants to see that ready sign from the bullpen. As soon as he does, he's going to get Dotson out of there. He figures that the Blue Jays are swinging pretty good at Rich Dotson tonight.
Well, he might let him face Ernie Witt. First when Billy Martin left, his pitching coach, Art Fowler, was gone. No, he's called time, and he's going to make the change.
He waited as long as he could. And Neil Allen finally gave him the ready sign down in the bullpen.
Well, let's listen to this interview that Buck Martinez did with manager Lou Piniella.
Lou Piniella, for most of the year, you've had some pitching woes, but it seems as though your pitching staff's coming together both the starting rotation and in the bullpen.
We've got a little more depth in our pitching staff than we've had in other years here. We've got Charles Hudson on the disabled list right now, and when he comes back, he'll certainly bolster that. But I'm pleased with our pitching. We've got some age in our staff, and we have to watch that aspect of it. We don't get complete games, but very few ball teams get complete games now. We've been rehabbing Guidry since the All-Star break, right before the All-Star break. He's pitched 5 ball games for us, and we've been monitoring his pitches. But I'm pleased. We've got some decisions to make with our staff when Hudson comes back. But like I say, we've got some viable alternatives. We've got Leiter that we just sent down that can pin back up here. We got Guterman that's pitching very well down in AAA, and Hudson. So we got some depth.
So right-hander Neil Allen has come on in place of Rich Dotson. This pitching change is brought to you by Skill.
Skill Power Tools, makers of the Skill Twist and Super Twist cordless power screwdrivers. Get relief from sore aching wrists and get the job done fast. When the pressure's on, count on Skill at hardware stores and home centers everywhere.
Allen with a record of 4-2, making his 22nd appearance. He has started a couple of ball games. He was 0-2 in 2 starts last year against the Blue Jays. He started the season out last season with Chicago, and he was 0-7. The first hitter to face him will be the catcher, Ernie Witt.
Ernie Witt, welcome back. I understand you were going to retire today, but that wasn't the case. What happened there with that report of your retirement announcement?
Actually, it took me by surprise. On Wednesday, I was a little upset what had happened, and I found out what George had said about me, and Jerry asked if I would make a comment on George Bell, and I said, no, I don't want to make any comment at this time. Maybe on Friday I'll make a statement. And at that point in time, Stottlemyre asked me, what do you say no comment about? And I said, about my retirement. And that was it. And it was just a misunderstanding between Jerry and I. Unfortunately, you know, it got out of hand, and I'm sorry that it did, but I'm planning on being around here for a couple more years, or someplace.
Let's hope you are, Ernie, and I guess we should tell the folks at home what Ernie was referring to as to what George said.
That play he was talking about was the throw to home plate in Minnesota. George felt Ernie should have caught the ball. Obviously, we could tell that he had no chance to catch the ball. But Jerry Howarth just heard something out of a conversation. You can see George Bell pretty relaxed over there. He wants to get back in the lineup, but he's not going to rock the boat at this time. Jimmy Williams will put him back in, as you heard earlier, when he's good and ready to put him back in.
Mullenix at third, Gruber at second, nobody out. Ernie Witt, who walked and scored in the second inning.
Allen, big curveball. He missed there with that pitch. Fastball, curveball. Last year he was 0-8 for the Yankees. Took a little off that fastball, but missed low with it.
Had a chance to talk to Blue Jay scout Wayne Morgan before tonight's game. He's in for a couple of days, and then he's heading out to Medicine Hat. What a great job he has done with the Blue Jays over the years. And his mom and dad, Bev and Helen, are watching the game tonight out in Kelowna, and Wayne wanted to say hi to your mom and dad, and hope you enjoy the game.
Morg's going to have a tough trip out there. They lost 16 in a row to start the season, and they're 4-35. He's got his work cut out to him. Not much to scout out there, is there?
Boy.
Wow, what a rough go.
That's where they're learning to play. And there's been a lot of Blue Jays right here in this team that
Played at
toiled
the
out
Hat.
in Medicine
That's right.
Hat. 3 balls, no strikes to Witt. Inside, bases loaded. Nobody out.
And guess who's coming to the plate? Fred McGriff.
And Don Mattingly comes over to talk with Neil Allen.
He says, don't worry, you get us a ground ball, we'll turn a home to first double play, and we'll get out of this inning. Confidence, that's all over his face. Don Mattingly, he wants to go over there and give support to his pitcher.
In case you joined us late, Fred McGriff hit a rope over the right center field fence, 375. Ball traveled at least 400 feet for a 2-run shot in the second, his 23rd home run of the season. And he jumped on the first pitch, too, off of Dotson.
Well, now as Neil Allen falls behind with that first pitch curveball, McGriff can really be selective. He's got to be patient enough to say, I'm going to get a ball I can really drive.
Pops it up, out into shallow center field. Mullenix tagging. Ward, the center fielder. Mullenix, here he comes. The play to the plate, and Mullenix is safe. A sacrifice fly RBI for McGriff. And the Blue Jays lead it 5-1.
There was confusion in the outfield between Ward and Winfield as you look at Fred McGriff driving in his 3rd run of the night. Ward looks over at Winfield, says, you have it, I'll take it, I don't know. And finally, when Ward catches the ball, he catches it flat-footed and really didn't have an awful lot on the throw to the plate. Mullenix doesn't have good speed, but he was in there in time because Ward really didn't get a lot on that throw.
It was a ball that Winfield should have taken. He has a much better arm. So now with 1 down, Barfield the batter. Gruber still at second, Witt at first. Barfield singled up the middle in the second inning.
Gruber might have been able to go to 3rd on that throw because it went all the way into the plate. It was high, well above the cutoff man, and he maybe should have advanced to 3rd.
That ball wasn't hit that deep to the outfield. And I think the fact that McLaren saw that Ward was going to take that ball, that's why he sent home Mullenix, who's not the quickest runner.
Every time a coach sees a situation like that, he'll come over to the runner and say, now, if Ward gets it, go ahead and go. We'll test his arm. Winfield, not the case, because Winfield has the stronger arm.
Here's the 1-1 pitch to Barfield. Low for a ball. Barfield, 6 home runs in his last 66 games. Hitting 167 over his last 21. It has been a struggle all season for Jesse.
That big curveball that Allen throws is so tough to command, and it's really tough for a reliever to come into a ball game and get immediate command of that curveball. It takes a while to get the feel of the release point, and sometimes Allen is really troubled by this.
Buck, I'm not sure if I've ever seen Jesse Barfield work as hard as he has worked as he has in the last couple of weeks with extra BP.
You can't fault him for effort. He's been out there taking extra BP, looking at videos, trying to discover something that might turn him loose.
He's on. The bases are loaded once again.
There's nothing Don Slott can tell Neil Allen other than, hey, keep throwing, try to get ahead. We got to use that curveball. Lou Piniella sitting on the bench seeing his pitching staff really fall behind the Blue Jay hitters and cause them so much grief. But Stan Williams out to say, you got to get ahead. It looks like you're going to have to throw that fastball to get ahead. You really haven't gotten that curveball over yet. I know the curveball is such an important pitch to you, but it's no good unless you can throw it over the plate. They'll just take it.
Allen has pitched for a number of clubs, the Mets, the Cards. This is the second go-around with the Yankees and the White Sox. So Rick Leach, who has the highest average on the Blue Jay club with runners in scoring, hitting .410, and he's 2 for 6 RBIs with the bases loaded. Let's see what he can do here. It's a shot right at Randolph. Should be 2. An easy double play for the Yankees as Leach hit a bullet right at Willie Randolph. But the Blue Jays score another run and lead it 5-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to this TSN update. With 5 runs through 3 innings, lead it 5-1 against these Yankees from New York. And you know, the way that things have been going around here the last 2 or 3 days, Buck, Toronto was quickly becoming the Bronx of the North with all this controversy.
Yes, a little bit different than what the fans and the ball players are used to in Toronto.
One thing about it, I know they sold a lot of newspapers in town today, and everywhere you go, that's what people were talking about. And George Bell and Jimmy Williams, and who's right, who's wrong, and whose side are you on?
Sides don't mean too much. Look at, he's giving the policeman grief over that water. What are you doing with that water there?
Keep that gun away from him.
Yeah, you don't want him too close to any of those things. Jack Clark hit into a double play that really saved Jeff Musselman in that first inning.
Took a little off that pitch for a strike. Boy, it was a big jam for Musselman in the first inning. Bases loaded, nobody out, and the Yankees only scored 1. And since then, Musselman has settled down, given up just 1 hit through the second and third, a single to Aguayo.
Could have been disaster for Musselman in the first inning. Jimmy Williams had Frank Wills up and throwing in the first inning. But he's battled back.
Clark hit 35 home runs last year for the Cardinals and has got 19 already for the Yankees. Don't forget the Minnesota Twins coming to Toronto for a 4-game series. Thursday afternoon is a makeup game. It's not on your schedules. Game time will be 12:35 on Thursday. Minnesota winning 2 out of 3, and that was a series that the Jays had a lead in every game and couldn't hold. Just the first 2, and then on Wednesday afternoon, John Cerruti was just brilliant in beating Frank Viola. And that was Viola's first loss in how long? About
2 years at home.
2 years?
Yep. That's so.
Did he go around? Yes, he did, said John Hirschbeck, the first base umpire. So Clark goes down and strikes number 4 for Musselman.
Watch Jack Clark try to check his swing on his sliders. It breaks inside, goes quite a ways around, all the way past home plate. The first base umpire rings him up.
You know, it's hard to tell when you're sitting up here behind home plate how far he goes around, but when our director, Michael Lansbury, takes that shot right down the line, it really tells the story, doesn't it?
And that's the same vantage point the umpire has. And you can see that bat come all the way around.
Don Slott, he struck out in the first inning.
Slott was the point of a lot of controversy when Billy Martin wanted him activated, said he was ready to play. Actually, I guess Steinbrenner wanted him activated, and Billy Martin didn't feel he was ready to play. And Slot wasn't ready to play. It had a hamstring that was lingering. He couldn't get over it. He couldn't run, and naturally, if a catcher can't run or squat down, he's not much use to you.
You see what Slot has done, hitting .341 coming into this game, and he really carried this Yankee ball club first part of the season, along with Dave Winfield.
Boy,
As
early
you know,
on,
Mattingly struggled for the first 6 weeks.
it's hard to believe that Mattingly's average is up where it is, as poorly as he was swinging the bat early in the season. And Don Slot, as you mentioned, really was carrying this ball club along with Winfield. Winfield got off to a great start, as did Slot. He had his average around .360 most of the first month and a half. Good fastball by Musselman, and he throws a lot harder than people might believe. You look at his stature on the mound, not all that impressive, but boy, that ball jumps out of his hand. Not all that dissimilar to Ron Guidry of the Yankees back in his heyday, when that ball would explode out of his hand.
He'll throw a changeup off every pitch he has, won't he?
Really made adjustments. Musselman, for a young guy, understands an awful lot about pitching, and he's taken a note right out of Jimmy Key's book by sitting back watching the veteran pitchers. Key, of course, one of those right now, along with Mike Flanagan. Musselman really plays off of. There's a
Full
look at
count.
Key.
A breaking ball a little high, so Slot is on with a walk. And that'll bring up the center fielder, Gary Ward. Ward struck out in the second inning. Ernie Witt will be our guest on Extra Innings tonight. There's the number. Jot it down. Give us a call. Collect 445-1811. Area code 416. Slow breaking ball that's way outside. 5-1. Blue Jays leading the Yankees. Fourth inning.
Look at those totals. Ward hit 16 home runs last year, drove in 78 runs. Of course, he was playing on a regular basis. That's not the case this year.
Fly ball left field. Rick Leach waits for it. 2 down. One thing that Leach has given the Toronto fans this year is lots of hustle. He's made some spectacular catches out in right field, playing there, and you can always expect a great effort from him. He's come through with some clutch hits.
Great example of a guy with basically limited ability, not superstar ability by any means, before he gets everything out of his talents. And the Blue Jays really have a valuable player in Rick Leach. Can do an awful lot of things for you. Good pinch hitter.
The captain, Willie Randolph, makes a strike in the outside part of the plate. Willie flied out to Mosby in center in the second inning. Randolph was the toughest hitter in the American League to strike out last year. One strikeout in almost every 22 plate appearances. Well, that's something, isn't it?
And he's such a good eye at the plate. Always able to take the walk.
Musselman ahead in the count, a ball and 2 strikes. Slot at first, 2 down.
Ooh, pretty good pitch. Musselman thought he had that fastball on the corner.
You know, with Detroit winning their first game tonight, this is a big game for the Yankees and the Blue Jays.
Well,
Jays need it to stay 10 back, and the Yankees, if they lose this one, will go a game and a half back in Detroit. Ground ball to Gruber. He'll go to second for the force on Slot. We head to the bottom of the fourth inning. The Blue Jays lead it 5-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Standings, Detroit with a home run in the 9th inning from Alan Trammell to beat Texas 3-2, and Boston beating Milwaukee 6-4. So Boston 2.5 back. The Yankees 1 game back, and the Jays right now officially 10.5 back.
Station, Ontario. Please go to customer service. John Smith.
The second baseman, Manny Lee, will lead it off for Toronto. Bottom of the fourth inning. Jays lead it 5-1. Lee laid down a perfect sacrifice bunt in the second inning to advance Barfield to third and Leach to first after McGriff had already hit that 2-run homer.
The Jays are in a position now where they can lay back and look for Allen's fastball. They don't have to go up there thinking about anything but a fastball because Allen hasn't established the fact that he can throw his curveball over yet.
Base hit up the middle, Manny Lee. So the hot bat of Manny Lee continues.
Continues to climb towards 300, looking for a fastball, gets it, laces it right by Allen on the mound. And until Allen can establish another pitch to go with his fastball, he might have some trouble here. But he's got to throw that curveball over, use an off-speed pitch a little bit more.
Tony Fernandez checking with John McLaren, the third base umpire, or coach, I should say, who's standing next to Dale Scott, the third base umpire.
He's been accused of umpiring from time to time in that coach's box.
They do it so often, don't they? They try to influence the umpire. Pitch is low to Fernandez. He doubled in the first inning and scored, and then hit a sacrifice fly to drive in a run in the second.
Might be a good combination for the hit and run here. Allen struggling with his control. Manny Lee has pretty good speed. Fernandez has really swung the bat well recently, so he can make contact. Nothing doing on that pitch, and he takes a strike to even the count at 1-1. Combined games continue as Fernandez looks down at McLaren. Allen checking the runner at first base. Manny Lee on with a base hit.
The Blue Jays 11 and 12 in the month of July, and after the All-Star break, the road trip started out sensationally when they took 3 out of 4 from Oakland, a team they had trouble beating all season long. And then into California to win 2 out of 3 as Fernandez follows that one off. And the turning point might well have been in Seattle when the Blue Jays were ahead in the first 2 games at a 5-1 lead and a 6-0 lead, and couldn't hold the score and ended up winning 2 and losing 2. And then going into Minnesota and losing 2 out of 3. But if you look back on the season, and if the Jays had a chance, to me, they'll be talking about that series in Seattle. That was the turning point, because had the Jays swept that series in Seattle, they could have moved to within 6 games.
You expect them to play well in Seattle. The only guy that they really might have trouble with, looking at the pitching matchups, will be Mark Langston. They beat Langston the last day of the series. That was already after they had lost the first 2 games.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Tony Fernandez. There goes Lee, and that's popped up, so Lee will have to come halfway back. Henderson in left field makes the play, and Lee goes back to first. So 1 down, and that'll bring up the center fielder, Lloyd Mosby.
You can rest assured that Jimmy Williams would like to continue to add to this 4-run lead with that offensive thunder across the field in the Yankee dugout. We've seen so many times. There's a look at the manager. Not real comfortable. Jimmy Williams is not one to relax. Anytime he's on the field, he's so intense. And you can bet that with a 4-run lead, he'd like to get another run or 2. Allen continues to struggle with that curveball.
You know, it's interesting. You see all the pop in that Yankee lineup. Home runs, Henderson, Mattingly, Winfield, Clark. And yet the Blue Jays lead the American League in home runs. And they have hit 15, 16 more than the Yankees this season.
I'd hate to see the Yankees in this ballpark playing every day in this park. I'll bet you that they'd be on top of the league. The Blue Jays,
by a good margin,
haven't really taken advantage of the home run so much in this ballpark. George Bell has only hit 3 of his 14 in this park. Fred McGriff has only hit 7 of his 28 now tonight of his 23 home runs here, so they really haven't taken advantage of it. But I think the type of club that the Yankees have, they would really benefit from playing in a ballpark like this one.
Pitch is high to Mosby. balls and no strikes. Minnesota trailing Cleveland 1-0 in the fourth inning. Blyleven against Swindell. Kansas City leading Baltimore in the third. Saberhagen against Jeff Ballard. Saberhagen at 10-10. 3-0 to Mosby.
Allen struggling with his control, falling behind, and then when he throws one close, he expects Richie Garcia to give him the benefit of the doubt, but that's not the case. Lou Piniella going to get somebody else throwing, looking down the bench, saying, what's going on here?
4 Blue Jays have walked tonight, and 2 of them come in to score. Witt and Mullenix. Pitch is low, and Mosby is on.
Piniella's going to go out there, and I think he's going to really have a talk with his right-hander, saying, hey, we need you to give us some innings now. I want you to get ahead. Piniella understands the game so well. Such a great player for years with both Kansas City and the Yankees.
Minnesota Twins and the Blue Jays Monday, August the 1st. Buck and I will be here for that one. A 1:30 start. And the Expos in Pittsburgh Tuesday night. Jimmy Houston and Kenny Singleton. That's 7:30 Eastern time. Well, the Expos won 5 in a row.
Piniella's out on the mound, and Richie Garcia has been out there patiently waiting for him. Now Piniella is discussing balls and strikes. He threw him out of the game. That's right. He has no right to call and ask him about balls and strikes. Richie's saying, hey, you asked me about a ball and strike. You're out of the game. Piniella wanted him to come out. He says, you threw me out for that, and that's what he said. Now, we'll leave it up to you to be how creative as you want to on Piniella and Garcia. A couple of hot-blooded Latins here. Garcia, of course, and Piniella, both Spanish. Richie Cuban descent. Piniella Spanish. And you can see that they're going to get into it here.
Piniella obviously waited for Garcia to come out.
That's the only reason he was out there. He walked all the way out to the mound. Didn't say anything to Neil Allen. He was going to wait till Garcia came out there. There have been some close calls. Allen had questioned a couple of pitches simply by his gestures on the mound.
Obviously, soon as Piniella asked about balls and strikes, Garcia didn't wait a second longer.
No, he didn't. He was out there, and he just kind of leaned in and said, Lou, what are you doing out here? And Lou says, well, I was wondering about those balls and strikes you've been calling. But Piniella, he'll have to watch the rest of the game from inside tonight.
Maybe he'll be watching this coaching clinic video. No, not.
I don't think he'll go watch the coaching clinic video at this point.
Well, we'd like to remind our viewers, for $30 Canadian, you can pick up this coaching clinic video.
Now Slott and Garcia are going at it a bit. He said, I'm out down to the mound. I went to talk to my pitcher, and then you come out and get on me. Garcia, sometimes umpires will really take it out on the catcher when a manager questions balls and strikes, because the catcher will hear the manager say, where was it? And then the catcher will say, I don't know. I thought it was good.
Gene Michael will probably take over the club now. Manny Lee down at second. Mosby at first. One down. The batter is Rance Mullenix.
Well, Michael's managed the club before.
Yep. Managed the Cubs, too. The Yankees have had a few managers, haven't they? They all seem to come back. That's popped up out into shallow right field, Winfield. The second out. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Kelly Gruber. Well, I think, too, that another reason that Piniella went out there, he wanted to shake his own ball club up.
That's exactly right. He went out there feeling that the ball club was just going through maybe a down period in the ball game. They were kind of accepting this 4-run deficit at 5-1 here in the bottom of the fourth inning. He saw a time to go out there. There was a walk, close call. Allen had just missed it. There's Michael.
Michael, number 48.
Chris Chambliss, the coach, as you look on that bench, and they're just kind of sitting back. And maybe this ball club is going to be sparked a bit by Piniella's antics on the mound. There's a curveball in there for a strike. Allen has to establish that pitch a bit more than he has.
Over 40,000 fans here tonight to watch the first game of this 3-game series, Yankees and Blue Jays. Count in the hand, no balls, 2 strikes.
That curveball is such a tough pitch for a reliever to have in his repertoire as he comes in and really has to find that release
Especially when
point.
you can throw it for strikes.
You have to be able to get it over the plate, and it's tough to do coming in out of that bullpen immediately.
Almost hit him.
Boy, that's a good pitch. Allen trying to set up that curveball, busted the fastball off the plate inside.
Gruber lined out in the first inning and then doubled in the third into the left field corner.
You can see that Allen wants to get to that curveball.
What Gruber did in the third inning is he fouled off about 5 or 6 pitches from Dotson. And here he goes down on strikes. So the Blue Jays leave a couple of runners stranded. That's 5 in the ball game for Toronto. But they still lead it 5-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. 25-year-old Jeff Musselman doing just an outstanding job here against the Yankees. He has given up only 3 hits through 4. And those 3 hits, 2 of them came in the first inning. A pair of singles, Mattingly and Winfield. And then Aguayo, who leads off this 5th inning, singled in the 2nd. And it looked like he might not even get out of the 1st inning.
Musselman struggled with his control in the 1st inning. Had Henderson walked to start the ball game off, and then a couple of singles, as you mentioned, Fergie. Galen Cisco came out to the mound, reminded Musselman, you got to pitch ahead, you got to throw strikes, and you got to use all your pitches. He got Jack Clark to hit into a ground ball double play as you look at Cisco, the pitching coach. And then he got Don Slott to strike out. So Jeff Musselman escaped a very, very precarious position. Bases loaded, nobody out in the 1st inning, gave up 1 run, but boy, he's turned it around since then.
This is the 8th game that Aguayo has started since coming over from Philadelphia. He had 247 with Philly. 3 home runs in 49 games. Good utility infielder. Two balls and a strike. And the one thing Musselman has done through the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is get ahead of hitters.
That's the entire key to success for just about any pitcher. Got to throw strikes early in the count. Change
Ground ball, Gruber, nice play. To McGriff, 1 down. Wow.
There are times when you look at this ball club and you wonder why in the world are they in 6th place. Kelly Gruber makes a play like that. Great defense. Fred McGriff hit his 23rd home run tonight. Watch the range on Gruber right here. Really goes to his left, and with that great strong arm, has enough time to gather his thoughts and fire a strike across the infield.
These are the 2 that have been dazzling offensively and defensively all season long.
Fernandez and Manny Lee turned a whale of a double play off the bat of Jack Clark in the 1st inning. This looks like the ball club we expected it to be here all year long.
Santana, who grounded out to Manny Lee in the 2nd. Well, for the last 3 years before coming over to the Yankees, he was the Mets starting shortstop. Hit deep to left. Leach back at the wall. It'll drop in for an extra base. So Santana, with 1 down, has a double.
Santana was available to the Yankees because of a youngster in New York playing for the Mets named Kevin Elster. But Santana has been a valuable acquisition for the New York Yankees. And here tonight, he doubles off Jeff Musselman. Only the 2nd hit since the 1st inning.
And the first extra base hit off Musselman. So we go to the leadoff hitter, Ricky Henderson, who walked and grounded out. Mattingly in the on-deck circle, and all of a sudden it's trouble.
Well, anytime you get around to this part of it, this is the business end. This is like looking down the barrel of a revolver when you get to this guy.
Fastball for a strike.
You know, you get down to that 8th, 9th hitter of the Yankees, and you say, yeah, they're all right. They're not really power guys, but wow, you turn around, and all of a sudden it's Henderson, Mattingly, Winfield, and Clark.
Anderson came into this game tonight hitting almost 500 against the Blue Jays in the first 7 games that they played. Now Musselman ahead, 0-2.
He took a lot off that curveball and dropped it in the strike zone. Ernie Witt trying to move the defense a little bit. Actually, he's telling Rick Leach to go pick up a beach ball in left field. Somebody threw a beach ball over from that north grandstand area. And Leach makes a fine play on that one. He's always hustling, isn't he?
Hasn't made an error all year.
This is where Musselman has to make a good pitch. He's got an 0-2 count on Ricky Henderson. He can really bust that fastball in off the plate. Trying to buy some of that outside part of the plate. Watch where Witt sets up. Musselman wasn't quite sure he wanted to throw that pitch. Anytime there's doubt in the pitcher's mind, he's got to step off. You don't want him throwing a pitch that he's really not sure of. 9 times out of 10, he'll hang it, leave it out over the plate. Didn't get that in there. He wanted it inside, didn't get it inside. You can see he's looking in at Ernie Witt saying, uh-oh, man, might have got away with one right there. Now I've got to make sure I make a little better pitch right here. You don't want to leave anything up and out over the plate for Ricky Henderson when he's got 2 strikes. At this point, he's cutting down his swing, trying to fight it off using right center as a target.
Mosby pretty well straight away in center. Ground ball to Gruber. Gruber fires across to McGriff for the 2nd out. That'll bring up Don Mattingly with Santana down there at 2nd.
Winfield talked about Mattingly when the other day the writers in New York said, hey, Dave, you know, that's the first home run you've hit in 97 at-bats. And he said, wait a minute, guys, you didn't get on Mattingly when he got off to that slow start in April. You know, I'm doing my job. Look at my numbers. They're right up there. You betcha he's right. Last year, Ricky Henderson took a lot of heat because he had a hamstring pull, and they said he was, well, malingerer, wasn't playing.
Well, you know, the feud that the two, Steinbrenner and Winfield, have had over the years, if Winfield hit 350 and 35 home runs, it seems like George would find something wrong.
He has just never really accepted Dave Winfield.
Well, the guy at the plate, Mattingly, has led the Yankees in hitting for the past 4 years.
Said he's not producing. He wants him to sell hot dogs and programs at the same time, I guess. I'll take this non-producer on my club, huh, Ferg? How about you?
Well, I've got that right. But Musselman behind in the count, and Mattingly reaches for a pitch that was outside.
If you want to study concentration at home plate, use Don Mattingly as your student. Watch his eyes, watch every move of the pitcher out on the mound. He's concentrating totally when he's in the batter's box. He often talks to himself in between pitches.
Change up that he's out in front of and hits it out to Barfield in right field. He waits for it to make the 3rd out. So we're heading to the bottom of the 5th inning. The Blue Jays lead it by 4. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. From the exhibition grounds in Toronto, 5-1, the Blue Jays leading. That's a beautiful shot, isn't it, Buck?
Quite a place here, huh?
It sure is.
Boy, how about that new stadium?
You going to miss it next year?
What, this place?
Yeah.
No. Are you?
Not in April.
Oh, it's a nice place, but, you know, they got to move into an awful new stadium just down the road.
Well, they say the Dome will be ready. They're talking July the 1st. And it's just like Montreal when they had Jerry Park. That's what they had, and you were just happy to see Major League Baseball. And in this ballpark certainly has done the job over the years. And, what is it, about 15,000 good seats in here? Somewhere in that neighborhood. Well, what a great baseball city. They're averaging over 31,000 again this year, and you just can't keep them away no matter what happens or how this team does. Right now, they're officially 10.5 back, and the fans have not lost their enthusiasm.
Nope, they continue to come out. They've learned an awful lot about baseball since 1977, and boy, they've supported this ballpark. You cannot talk about the Toronto Blue Jay fans being front runners. They're out here in full force this year.
2-2 to Witt, and he pops that up down the third base line. I don't know if they'll be able to get to it. Nope. As Aguayo, the third baseman, a couple of feet away from it. So Ernie Witt will have another chance. Cleveland leading Minnesota. As Blyleven pitching for Minnesota. Swindell 11-9 for Cleveland. Kansas City out in front by 5 against Baltimore. Saberhagen against Sisk now, pitching for Baltimore. In California, with Willie Frazier on the mound against Bill Long. Ground ball to Willie Randolph, the second baseman. Mattingly hustles over and takes the throw from Randolph. One down.
Boy, to speak of that California team, all of a sudden they're in third place. They're 11.5 games back.
The first
But
baseman,
they
number
have
19,
played well.
Fred McGriff.
Cookie Rojas, Wally Joyner the other night, 6 RBIs in that ball game.
Fred McGriff in the second inning with his 23rd home run of the season. A 2-run shot to deep right center field over the 375 mark. He hit a rope, as he normally does when he hits one out. The odd time he'll sky it and hit it over 400. That was hit off the handle. It's going to drop in. It'll go for extra bases. And McGriff saunters into second base.
Fred McGriff continues to swing a hot bat since coming back from the All-Star break.
It looked like he might have been jammed in that. He didn't hit the ball that good.
Right fielder.
Off the end of the bat, off-speed pitch. He was out in front of it. There wasn't any good sound. Hitters looked for that sound. They listened for that sound to see what kind of contact they made. That's a pretty good indication of the kind of strength that Fred McGriff has. Hit it off the end of the bat and it one hop the fence.
Now Barfield. Barfield with a single in the second inning and a walk in the third. We are still having problems with our center field camera. And we are...
Come on, kids. Come on, work them, Jack.
There, we've got it fixed.
Good cut by Barfield after the fastball.
He's ahead 0-2.
What we're seeing now is Neil Allen has had a few innings under his belt. He came on in the second, and he's getting command of that curveball, which really adds an awful lot to the velocity of his fastball. When a hitter goes up there knowing he's got to think about a couple of pitches, then that fastball gets on you a little quicker. There's a little hesitation.
Inside, a ball and 2 strikes.
Come on, Jess, make him slow.
The Yankees this season are 0-30 in games which they trail after 7 innings. Now, here's some scores. Let's look at the National League. No score between Pittsburgh and New York. Smiley against Ojeda. Philly leading Chicago. Schiraldi against Gross. St. Louis and Montreal with the Cards leading 5-0.
You don't think that Pittsburgh-New York Mets rivalry is heating up? There's a disc jockey that went from Pittsburgh up to New York, Shea Stadium. They're broadcasting from the parking lot, and he's got a life-size Darryl Strawberry doll you can stick voodoo pins in. Good curveball from Allen. You know, that guy needs a SWAT team up there doing that in the parking lot at Shea Stadium. But that is a spirited rivalry over there, the Mets and the Pirates.
So with 2 down, Rick Leach will step in. Another look at this strikeout pitch to Barfield.
Allen has had the luxury of throwing a few more pitches, and now he's got good command of that overhand curveball.
That's a tough pitch to hit. I don't care who you are. Leach hits the fly ball out to left field for Ricky Henderson. So McGriff is left stranded with a double down at second. Through 5 innings, the Jays lead it 5-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to this TSN update. Settled into a pitching duel between Musselman and Neil Allen. As you can see, all the scoring taking place in the first 3 innings. And leading off here in the top of the 6th will be Dave Winfield.
Hey, Winfield, do you think the media criticism of you over the years in New York is a bit unfair?
For years, I thought it was imbalanced, but I think this year it's kind of put it in perspective. You know, despite all the negative things that have happened and been said, the way people have responded this year, it kind of wipes out a lot of that historically and in the past. And so it's how they look at me now, and I think they like me and respect me, so it's a good relationship.
Well, when those two were feuding publicly, every time Winfield would come to the plate, he'd get a standing ovation.
You can tell who the fans were siding with. You know, years ago when Winfield first signed, Reggie Jackson was still in a Yankee uniform, and there was
He was Mr. Yankee, make no mistake about that.
George Steinbrenner was in love with that Mr. October image.
He fought with him.
Like a son.
Yeah. Jackson produced.
Boy, he did. Not that this guy can't produce, that's for sure.
Well, he came into tonight's game hitting .340, 19 home runs, 76 RBIs. And you know, if you look back, the 95 games that he has played in this season, he has reached base safely in all but 10 of them.
That's amazing. That's a wonderful stat to think about, because that shows you the kind of talent that Winfield is. He's got power, 19 home runs. He drives in runs, 70 RBIs, and he hits for a .340 average. Great arm in right field. Awful lot of range defensively. And he's a first-class citizen.
Ground ball, Fernandez. He has to backhand it. He bobbles it. And Fernandez should be charged with an error. He's only made 2 in his last 80 games.
There's a ridge in the turf right in front of where Fernandez positions himself, and he says, yep, it hit that ridge. He had good position on it. He was going to have to backhand it, but it hits this ridge right in the middle of the field and comes up on him, catches him on the heel of his glove, and he'll probably receive an error. But you can see that he accepts the fact that that ridge plays a funny hop on him.
So the leadoff runner is on, and Jack Clark, the designated hitter, pops it back out of play into the stands. Clark tonight hit into a double play in the first and struck out in the fourth.
They gave Winfield a hit, figuring that Fernandez was going to go in the hole and have to make a tough throw on the speedy runner Winfield. So Fernandez did not get charged with an error.
Joe Sawchuk, the official scorer. Clark hits it down the right field line. That is foul.
Had enough distance on it.
The wind got a hold of it.
But his aim is off a bit. It just curved outside of that foul pole down the right field line. There's a good example of Clark's power to all fields, and there's a look at the flag over the flags above the scoreboard, blowing from the left field foul line out towards that right field fence, and just helped out Jeff Musselman in blowing that drive off the bat of Jack Clark foul.
You see where Clark started in left field the other night, and Mattingly has played out in left field in that Kansas City series?
Well, Clark was upset about it. Went into manager Lou Piniella and said, hey, what am I doing in left field? I'm a DH. I haven't been out there in years. Piniella said, hey, I'm the manager. I'm doing what I think is best for the team. I don't want to hear any more about it. Clark walked out of the office. End of discussion.
So Clark goes down on strikes and has a couple of words with Garcia.
Richie says, do you really think that was inside? That's my fault? That was a fastball on the inside corner, and you're going to argue with me? He said, I'll tell you one thing. That was a good pitch, and I don't want to hear anything more from you.
I'm not sure he should do that. In all honesty, That's what creates problems. I mean, Clark walked away, and now look, if Ferraro's going to come down and talk to him, and sooner or later somebody's going to get tossed out of the game, but why wouldn't Garcia just stay back there? Clark had his say, and leave it be.
Watch the pitch. It's a fastball. Clark thinks it's inside. Garcia rings him up, and
Now,
they end up arguing.
Now Michael is down arguing with him.
Well, he's the manager now since Pinella's been ejected already. And Clark is still standing up. Garcia still looking into the dugout. And now they're trying to keep him down there. Santana.
Guidry.
Guidry's saying, hey, man, we need your bat. I don't need you in the clubhouse watching, too.
Any way you look at it, strikeout number 5 for Musselman. 1 down now. 6th inning. Another slow curve that just misses. Don Slott, the hitter. Struck out in the 1st, walked in the 4th. Remember when this guy was beamed back in '86, Buck?
Oil
They thought
can
he
Boyd.
might never play again.
Took him a while to come back from it. Really a nasty blow. Got hit right in the jaw. For a long time, he wore a protective shield, a face mask over his face, but he's really rebounded and done a great job of that this year.
Ground ball should be 2 to lead, double play. Those Blue Jays are hot tonight.
Once again, the Blue Jays turn a very slick double play when Musselman comes up with the ground ball right to Fernandez. Picture-perfect double play. Easy play for Manny Lee as Winfield has no chance right there over to McGriff. And after 5.5 innings, the Blue Jays still lead 5-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Jays lead it 5-1. As Fred McGriff hit a 2-run homer back in the 2nd inning. Jays scored 3 on 3 hits. They have left 6 runners on tonight, while the Yankees have left 4 on. Manny Lee, who laid down a sacrifice bunt in the 2nd and singled in the 4th, will lead it off for Toronto. Jeff Musselman has allowed just 5 hits. And Allen came on in the 3rd inning with nobody out. Mullenix and Gruber on. He's done actually a pretty nice job.
He sure has. Once he got that breaking pitch over the plate, he's done a good job. He's only allowed 2 hits.
1 run. Actually, that run has been charged to Dotson. So Allen has kept the Yankees as close as possible.
So he's done his job in middle relief tonight of Rich Dotson. Off-speed pitch just fouled off the foot of Don Slott. Oh, look at he's going. Oh. The Labatt's player of the game for Toronto will receive the 14-watt AM/FM 3D Super Woofer with auto reverse, double cassette, and high-speed dubbing. Just one of a full line of 3D radios from Hitachi. I don't miss that one bit.
I bet you don't.
Foul ball off the foot. Gene Monahan out there to spray some ethyl chloride on the inside of that foot, that big knobby bone that sticks out the inside of your foot. Not a whole lot of protection there, and boy, that ball just pounds on that bone.
Seems like Ernie's taking quite a beating back here this year, too.
He's got big feet. Anybody that gets back there for a long time gets beat up.
Let's have another look at it.
Watch his foot right on the inside. You can see that it's really exposed, and that was almost like, oh no, I can't believe I got hit there. Donnie Slott got the foul tip. It'll take him a while to get over that.
Milwaukee leading Boston. 2nd game of that doubleheader. Boston won the 1st one 6-4. Filer pitching for Milwaukee, the ex-Blue Jay. Up the middle, base hit, Manny Lee.
That should get Manny Lee over the 300 mark. His 2nd hit of the night. Perfect on the night with that sacrifice bunt in the 2nd inning. Watch this. Laced a fastball. Allen just ducks out of the way. Almost caught that one in the backside. Watch, this is not good fielding position as you see that swing, and Allen says, whoa, I better duck out of this one.
Got his pitching hand out of the way. Now Fernandez. Check down with McLaren. He's set to go. Bottom of the 6th inning. Blue Jays lead by 4.
Come on,
Tomorrow, John Candelaria. He's 11-6 and 1-1 against the Jays this year. Will face Mike Flanagan, who's 10-6. And then Sunday, Rick Rhoden against Jimmy Key. Fernandez, as Santana knocks it down, but it's a base hit for Tony Fernandez. Santana had to go a long way for that, didn't he?
Shooting for this hole in the shortstop. Took a nice swing on it. Santana has pretty good range, knocks it down, and then follows it to keep Manny Lee at second base. That slope away from the field really extends, but just can't come up with it cleanly, but knocks it down far enough so he can catch up to it.
Had he fielded the ball cleanly, I'm not sure he would have even had a play at second.
He had no play at either base. So what he did was he simply kept the runners at first and second as you look at him there with Mosby at the plate. Aguayo, the third baseman, in front of the bag at third, looking for the bunt.
Mattingly even with the bag, and that pitch is low.
Mosby crossed him up. He had no bunt on his mind, at least at that pitch. Checking once again with John McLaren, looking for the signs.
I'll tell you, the way the Yankees can manufacture runs, you've got to get all you can against them. Pitch is high, 2-0. Mosby tonight grounded out in the first, flied out in the second, and walked in the fourth. Stan Williams with Gene Michael, the acting manager, on the right.
Come on, Lloyd. This is a good one, Lloyd. Come over, good, Lloyd.
Ground ball. Santana has one play, and he doesn't get Mosby. He beats it out for a base hit. The bases are loaded. Nobody out.
With a 2-ball, no-strike count, you expect Mosby to hit the ball hard, but he hits this one off the end of the bat in a perfect spot. You can see big swing, but Allen took something off of it. Santana has only one play, and that's the first base, but Mosby has good speed.
Well, the big mistake he made, he waited for the ball to come to him.
It's tough when you have a big swing like that. It freezes the players in position because you expect the ball to come hard off the bat. It went off the end of the bat, had a lot of spin on it, and he really got caught in between.
Now Mullenix against Neil Allen. Pitch is low, and Slot does a nice job to block it.
Mullenix drove in a run in the first inning, first run of the game with a ground ball to shortstop. Walked and scored in the third, and he flied out to right.
He's 0 for 3 with the bases loaded this year. Rance.
You can bet he's got the green light here in this situation, 2-0. He'll be looking for a pitch out over the plate that he can really drive.
He'll be looking at least for a fly ball, sacrifice fly. Ground ball, could be 2. It is an easy double play, but Manny Lee will score, and it is 6-1.
Manny Lee got it started with a base hit back through the box, comes around to score. Rance Mullenix will not get an RBI for that as he grounds into a double play, but he produces a run all the same.
6-1, Toronto leading. As Kelly Gruber steps in with 2 down. Gruber lined out in the first, doubled in the third, and struck out in the fourth. Curveball. Gruber hits it over to George Bell.
Now they're applauding the defense. Everybody immediately picked up on that.
He's a big kid, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And that's good to see him smiling. Look at Clancy's dying. He said, these guys are all over. Look at Jimmy Key.
He wants to hide, doesn't he? Key. Put that hat down over his face. Gruber hits a fly ball to Winfield in right. Winfield has to back up a bit as the wind got a hold of it. But the Blue Jays managed to score a run. They had the bases loaded, nobody out, and only get one. As there's a little laughter in the Blue Jay dugout. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Jays of two pitchers, Dotson, who gave up 5 hits and 5 runs, and Neil Allen. 7th inning, Ward, Randolph, and Aguayo for New York in game 1 of this 3-game series. What a job this young man has done. Jeff Musselman. Musselman went 6 innings in his first outing against California and beat them, and then went 7 innings in his next outing against Seattle. And will Jimmy Williams, if Musselman can, will he let him go the distance tonight?
I think it's going to depend on how many pitches he's thrown. So far, he's really actually kind of breezed through the game. And it's a matter of pitch count because they don't want to overuse the young man, but if he's breezing right along, he's only thrown 88 to this point. So it might be a matter of just letting him go ahead and stretch it out. They want him to be around 110, maybe 115 pitches, so they'll keep a close eye to him as Dwayne Ward gets up. I tell you, Ward needs a good outing, so Jimmy Williams might have that in his mind, too, to get Ward out there in a game where they've got a 5-run lead, let him work his kinks out a little bit.
Speaking of Ward, that's Gary Ward at the plate. And Dwayne Ward in the Blue Jay bullpen. Musselman ahead of the count, no balls, 2 strikes.
Since the first inning, Musselman has been in command of all of his pitches. As you look at Ernie Witt, extra innings guest tonight. There's the number, call, collect. And he always has a lot to say, and I'm sure you can come up with some good questions for Ernie Witt.
Ward goes down on strikes, number 6 for Musselman tonight. And yes, I'm sure Ernie Witt will talk about the Bell incident.
Musselman has good velocity on his fastball and throws it right by Gary Ward for the 2nd time tonight.
Ward now just 1 hit in his last 29 at-bats. And in New York, an average like that will get you a one-way ticket somewhere.
He hasn't had the kind of at-bats that he'd like to have.
Randolph hits it right to Manny Lee, 2 down.
You can certainly see that all the controversy over the off day hasn't affected the play of this ball club, especially tonight already. They're out there making all the plays. They've executed well, sacrificed punting, great pitching, outstanding defense. They've turned a couple of double plays.
Well, you saw where George Bell took his family out to Wonderland, and Rance Mullenix was up caddying for a pal of his. Rich Todd, was it?
Rich Todd, yeah, he's from Scarborough. He's here tonight with Rance's wife, Jeannie. Rich Todd and his wife, guest of Rance. Understand he made the cut. We ought to remind
Shot of 73.
That's up at Emerald Hills, and it's a great tournament, the Canadian PGA tournament. Saturday and Sunday with the finals on Sunday.
Aguayo went around on that. Witt makes the play. And Musselman records his 7th strikeout. What a job by that young left-hander. 6-1, Blue Jays leading. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Let's go, Blue Jays.
Okay, Blue Jays, B.J. Birdie leading the exercises. Looks like he could do a few exercises himself, huh? Come on. Bear down, Birdie.
What a job by Jeff Musselman tonight. Just a fine young left-hander. And the Yankees are going to see 2 more left-handers in Flanagan and Key. And it's a big series for both teams. Oh, if the Blue Jays happen to lose all 3, well, you could kiss their season goodbye for sure. But if the Blue Jays could make a sweep, they can get back into this thing.
Good to see Jim Clancy with a pretty good outing the other night. Marking 5+ innings in Minneapolis. Came out of the game with the lead. But then Jimmy Key, what a story he's been since coming back off that surgery. how many years ago was it we were struggling to find a left-handed starter? Now we've got 3 of them.
I understand Eichhorn's pitching pretty well down in Syracuse, and he made some pretty classic comments about the Blue Jays organization, how well they've treated him.
Certainly gave him a lot of opportunity this year. He wasn't throwing that well. Hopefully he'll get his act straightened out down in Syracuse and pitch his way back here to the big leagues.
He's using his sinker ball there a lot more. 2 balls and a strike to Ernie Witt. Witt has walked twice tonight and grounded out.
Well, I think personally that Mark Eichhorn got slider conscious. There were too many sliders, pitched himself in a hole with that slider. It was to think back to his big year in '86 when he came in, went first pitch fastball, then used that changeup and started a lot of hitters off with the changeup, but I think he just got too concerned about that slider. Of course, he just lost a little bit of his control, and 4 or 5 inches when you're shooting for corners can really get you behind and pitch behind in situations, plus the fact that the hitters around the league got to know him a little bit more, got a little more patient with him.
That was the key. The 2-2 pitch outside. Rich Dotson started this game for the Yankees, went 2+ innings, gave up 5 runs and 5 hits as Witt fouls that one into the stands down the left side. Over 40,000 here tonight. I'm guessing, but I would think that's about where it is. It'll seat just over 45. We can squeeze them in. Witt hits a high fly ball, right field. Winfield back to the warning track. It's out of here. Ernie Witt, his 5th home run of the season. He'll touch them all. Well, he'll be a little happier on extra innings tonight.
We'll have to tell him that's why he hit a home run, because he's coming on extra innings. But he got a high fastball from Neil Allen. He receives congratulations, and Ernie Witt, as we've seen for so long.
Watch Winfield out here.
Winfield goes up on the fence. He knows it's gone. He's just going to get up there and have a closer look at it.
Remember that catch that Kirby Puckett made off Witt the other night in Minnesota? He did go over the fence and get it and bring it back.
It's a little bit shorter fence than this one here. Winfield wasn't even close to the top of that one.
Puckett's a little shorter than Winfield.
Yes, he is.
Puckett is 5'10".
Winfield 6'6". Winfield can almost grab the top of the fence and pull it down. What an athlete he is, huh?
Griff hit a hot one down to Mattingly. He flips it to Allen. And McGriff is down. Oh, with 1 down, that'll bring up Jesse Barfield. Mattingly this season's only made 4 errors, and chances are he'll win another Gold Glove.
You know, they played him in left field since they've acquired Ken Phelps, a DH, left-handed batting DH, and Mattingly went out to left field in a game in Kansas City. Misplayed a ball. I said, hey, I'm out there doing my best. I'll give you whatever I got, wherever you want me.
He sort of circled that ball, didn't he?
Oh, man.
Came in and then
well, they had some bad defensive play out there. Claudell Washington missed the fly ball that eventually cost them the ball game. So it happens to the best of them.
Come on, Jared. Come on.
Fastball for a strike to Barfield. Jesse singled in the 2nd, walked in the 3rd, and struck out in the 5th. He's hit more career home runs off Yankee pitching than any other Blue Jay. He's got 14. 2 balls and a strike. Nice to see him pull the trigger tonight.
His timing is still off a little bit. He's worked hard, as we talked about earlier, but he's really just not sharp with his timing. Get out in front a little bit, Off-speed pitches. Cito Gaston, the batting instructor, talking with Ernie Witt after hitting that home run number 5.
That was just an outstanding at-bat for Witt. He fouled off a few pitches, had a couple of strikes on him, and still took him deep. Barfield hits a fly ball to left field. Back at the wall, it is off the wall, and Barfield will have a double. That's his second hit of the game. That's 2 multi-hit games in a row for Jesse. He had a couple Wednesday in Minnesota.
All year long, we've been talking about a streaky hitting Barfield, and we have yet to see one of those streaks where he hits 4 or 5 home runs in a week. Just misses this one. Didn't hit it all that well. I think it got in on him a little bit. Didn't get great extension on it, but he's so strong he can fight it off all the way to that left field wall. Don slot out to talk to Neil Allen, saying, you got to suck it up a little bit. You've done a great job for us. And now they're going to start to get someone throwing down there in the left field line.
The left fielder, number
Stan Williams, the pitching coach.
Steve Shields begins to throw for the Yankees. He was just recalled. Pitched a little bit with the Atlanta Braves.
He was with Kansas City for a while. A ball and no strikes to Rick Leach. Leach was penciled into left field tonight with the benching of Bell, but he has come through. Single in the second. Twelve hits for the Blue Jays. There's the man he replaced. Seven to 1, Toronto leading.
You know, I'd had a talk with George earlier today. He didn't want to come on TV and talk about all of this stuff, but he related to me that there's been some talk about Bell suggesting that all of this is based on Jimmy Williams being prejudiced towards Latin ball players. And I wanted to make sure that George Bell got his feelings across that that's not the case at all. There is a difference in personality. That is a fact. But George Bell doesn't believe any of this is related to
whether he's
prejudice or anything else. It's just a personality conflict. That's all it is.
Leach, a fly ball to left. Henderson. He's got it. 2 down.
There's been a lot of players and managers that haven't seen eye to eye over the years, but they're going to have to put that behind them, and Bell's going to have to go out and play ball. Jimmy Williams has made it very clear he's the manager. He's going to do what he thinks is best for this ball club in a winning effort day in and day out. And Bell's going to have to accept that and go out there and play. I'll be curious to see just what it takes for George Bell to get back in the lineup. Jimmy Williams has kept that very private. He said, I'm just going to be the only one that decides that.
Jimmy did say, though, that if he needed Bell to pinch hit, he wouldn't hesitate to use him. I wonder if it'll take an apology. Who knows whether Bell will have to go to Williams, or only time will tell. Can't remember ever seeing Jimmy Williams as hot as he has been. No, ground ball out by Manny Lee. It's 7 to 1. Toronto leading the Yankees. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. After 3 and then scored another pair to take a 7-1 lead here against the Yankees. 8th inning, Santana, Henderson, and Mattingly will face the left-hander Jeff Musselman, who so far, through 7, has thrown 98 pitches, 62 for strikes. Looking for his 3rd win of the season. Sil Campusano has come in to play left field for the Blue Jays in place of Rick Leach. Campusano got his 2nd home run Wednesday in Minnesota.
Leading off the 8th for the Yankees, the shortstop, number 17, Rafael
Santana leads things off. He's 1 for 2, a double in the 5th inning tonight. 42,453 fans here at Exhibition Stadium for this first game of a 3-game series.
They have been treated to a fine pitching performance and some good defense, not to mention the long ball tonight. A little bit of everything for the Blue Jay fans. Jeff Musselman, after a bit of a shaky start in the first inning, has settled into a whale of a ball game.
Boy, how things can turn around. Musselman will go back to that first inning. The Yankees had the bases loaded, nobody out. Jack Clark, the hitter, and he hit into a double play to score Henderson, and then Slot struck out. Two balls, 2 strikes to Santana. 91 degrees in game time, and just a beautiful night for a ball game. Base hit, center field. Drops in front of Mosby. So now there's some action in the Blue Jay bullpen.
I'm sure that Jimmy Williams will keep a close eye on Musselman at this point. Dwayne Ward is just about ready down there. He's been up before and throwing, so it won't take him long to get up and ready. Jimmy Williams not going to let Musselman throw an awful lot of pitches, not going to let him struggle. But he's been outstanding tonight. That's only 6 hits on the night. Santana has 2 of those, and Ricky Anderson's the batter.
Curveball that just misses. Henderson in his 9th year is putting some great numbers on the board again. 55 stolen bases.
When Henderson's healthy, there are not too many ball players in all of baseball that can do the things Ricky Henderson can do.
Well, you take that first 7-game series that the Jays had and the Yankees. Henderson had 8 stolen bases in it and scored 9 runs and hit 483. Off the bat, should be 2, and Fernandez bobbles the ball at second.
Gene Michael going to argue that Fernandez never had control of it, and that in fact he wasn't coming out of the glove with the ball. He said he never had command of the ball in his glove. Rick Reed, the second base umpire. Now you judge. Musselman gets the comebacker on a check swing. Watch this. Fernandez got command of it. Is he taking it out of his glove? I don't know. It didn't look like he had command of it. Kind of just flipped out of the end of his glove. He's hurrying. He knows Henderson has good speed, and he has to get rid of it quickly. But you can't tell from that angle, but it looked like it was just out of his glove, that he never got the bare hand on it.
What a break for the Blue Jays.
Check and see now if he's got command of it, and if in fact it's in his bare hand coming out of the glove. Never looked like he had command of it.
So the Jays get a break.
Of course, we have the benefit of slow motion instant replay. Rick Reed has to go by what he sees down there and his instincts. He felt Fernandez was taking the ball out of his glove, ready to throw to first base to relay for that double play. But the Jays get a break.
The Yankees would have had 2 on, nobody out, with Mattingly at the plate, and then Winfield and Clark to follow. And you know how quick they can put runs on the board. Pops it up. Mattingly takes his time getting out of the batter's box, and McGriff makes the catch. 2 down.
Musselman has been so effective taking something off that slow curveball. He's had Mattingly off stride all night long, and once again really takes a lot off that curveball. I think Musselman's got a problem with a blister now. He's looking at his pitching hand. Jimmy Williams is going to go out there. I think that's what's happened. He's walking around, he's a little bit frustrated, and I think what's happened is Musselman has popped the blister.
The fans are booing, but of course they don't realize.
There you look at it. That's exactly what it is. He's got a blister on his middle finger of his pitching hand, and that'll be all for Jeff Musselman. The fans are going to boo. They're not aware of what's happening. Williams turned to Richie Garcia. He wants Garcia to come out to make sure that he knows this is an injury change, and that Ward will be allowed to throw as many as he wants, as Jeff Musselman goes off to a nice round of applause. Well deserved for the young left-hander, as he battled control problems in the first inning, got out of it allowing only 1 run, and really turned it around and pitched into the 8th inning with a fine performance tonight.
7 2/3. 1 run, 6 hits, struck out 7. So Dwayne Ward has come on the pitch for the Blue Jays. Ward has really struggled. He's allowed 16 hits and given up 9 earned runs in his last 4 outings. This pitching change is brought to you by Remington. You know, Ward's last 4 outings have totaled 6 innings. And he gave up 9 earned runs to increase his ERA from 2.52 to 3.51. So it has been a struggle, although he's got some nice numbers up there, 6-1 with 7 saves.
It's the first time he's struggled all year long. Unfortunately, it all came at one road trip. And Dwayne Ward out there tonight with a 6-run cushion has a chance to get things back on the right track. And I think that's what Jimmy Williams had in his mind when he went to Ward in this situation. Hard-throwing Dwayne Ward the other night maybe had some problems with his pitch selection. Got stuck throwing 5 sliders in a row to Gary Gaetti. Eventually gave up a single to Gaetti. He came around to score the tying run in the game Monday night, which eventually was won on Kirby Puckett's 2-out, 2-run double. But Dwayne Ward out there tonight has got to use this situation to get back on that positive side.
Dwayne just got a haircut yesterday. Maybe that'll help.
Anything will help when you're superstitious and thinking about bad streaks, and I'm sure that he had that in his mind. Pitchers think of funny things all the time about changing their luck.
Don't they? Dave Winfield tonight, a couple of singles, and he is struck out. Fastball for a strike.
Ward's got good velocity. He's well into the 90s with that fastball, and so many times we've talked about the move last year to the bullpen down in Syracuse has turned his career around.
Hit deep to left. Camposano back to the track. He's got it. Well, that ball for a moment looked like it was out of here. But Camposano goes a long way, makes the play, and the Blue Jays lead by 6. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSA. Mr. Steve Shields has come on here in the bottom of the 8th inning for the Yankees. He's 1-3, makes his 18th appearance of the season. He pitched out in Calgary last year, and with Seattle, he was 2-0 for the Mariners. Signed a 1-year contract with the Yankees as a 6-year minor league free agent. He's had short stints with Atlanta and Kansas City. He came over to Seattle in that Scott Bankhead deal, which saw Tardival go to Kansas City. But the Blue Jays lead it 7-1, bottom of the 8th inning. On 12 hits, Ernie Witt has hit a home run, his 5th. And Freddie McGriff, a 2-run blast back in the 2nd inning. Fernandez, Mosby, and Mullenix here in the 8th. Nice night for Tony Fernandez. Double and a single and an RBI.
Good to see him with that range at shortstop. Turned that double play off the bat of Jack Clark. First inning, ranging far to his right.
That was by far the defensive play of the game.
Really set the tone for the whole night. They get out of that inning only giving up 1 run, and that's all the Yankees have mustered.
How many times have we said all season long, Buck, as Tony Fernandez goes, so go the Blue Jays? That one hits Shields, and it deflects to the shortstop, Santana, and they get Fernandez. So you can score that 1-6-3. That was
right on the backside.
shot.
You can see that he's smiling. Watch. The Yankees pitchers have got a funny way of fielding, don't they? We saw Allen before, but Santana makes a nice throw. But
And here come the friends of Dave Winfield. The Seagulls have come in all of a sudden. What time is it? Well, they're a little early tonight. 10 after 10. Look at them ducking out there.
Shields with that good sinking fastball.
The Seagulls usually land in that right field corner in the stands, and they're filled up. So the Seagulls are gonna have to circle for a while. That spot right there, that's where they land and sit when the stands are not filled.
Out in the cheap seats.
And boy, are they messy, aren't they? Mosby tonight, 1 for 3 with a walk. Don't forget the Kansas City Royals will be coming in for a big series. 4 games, starting Friday, August the 5th. And on Saturday, it's Bellevue Photo and Fuji Camera Day. Sunday, Hostess Munchies Seat Cushion Day. That's a mouthful. Plenty of seats available.
Come in and watch George Brett at work. Boy, he is swinging a bat this year. Average
Royals
over
12
330.
and a half back.
Mosby wants that ball checked.
Second game of the doubleheader. Milwaukee and Boston tied at 4, and in the 4th inning, Texas and Detroit no score. Cleveland leading Minnesota 5-0 in the 9th. And Kansas City leading Baltimore 6-2 in the 7th. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Mosby, and he goes down on strikes. Manager Lou Piniella was tossed out for arguing balls and strikes with home plate umpire Rich Garcia back in the 4th inning with Mullenix at the plate.
Shields has a good fastball. He's got 2 kinds of fastballs. That right there, the 4-seamer that has a little more velocity, and then he throws that sinking fastball.
A ground ball to Randolph. He makes the play to get Mullenix. A sweeping grab by Mattingly. It's just an outstanding defensive first baseman.
Randolph overruns it. Now watch Mattingly dig that ball out of the dirt. Hopping ball. Rance doesn't have good speed. At the end of 8 complete innings, the Blue Jays still lead the Yankees 7-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to this TSN update.
12-year veteran Jack Clark will lead it off for the Yankees here in the 9th inning. The Yankees trail by 6. Dwayne Ward on the mound. Musselman started and went 7 2/3. 6 hits, struck out 7, and gave up 1 run. That was back in the 1st inning. Clark tonight has hit into a double play and has struck out twice. That's 90 strikeouts on the year, and he singles to left field.
Clark hit a pretty good pitch right there. I think he caught it off the end of the bat and broke his bat, but he's still strong enough to follow through.
Catcher number 11.
Watch this slider from Ward on the outside part of the plate. Clark, such a strong hitter, hit that good pitch into left field.
Now Don Slott steps in. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. The Blue Jays just 3 outs from winning their 51st game of the season. That will put them 1 game under 500 and still 10 behind Detroit because Detroit won the first game of that doubleheader.
That good fastball from Ward. He's got good velocity. What's hampered him during this last downturn is the fact that he hasn't been able to spot his pitches as well as he had earlier. He's hung a few more sliders than he did most of the year, and that's caused him some problems. There's another one. He overthrew that ball. He's in a tough spot right now, and a pitcher's tendency is to try harder. What you need him to do is to relax and make sure he finishes up. That extra effort that Ward's putting into that slider is causing it to stay up in the strike zone. There, nice, good delivery. He finished out in front of it, and that ball was well away from slot. He couldn't check his swing.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
He knew it was off the plate, but Ward threw it so well that it was well off the plate, and he couldn't hold up on it.
This is Ward's 5th appearance against the Yankees this year. He does not have a record. That's hit off the handle. Camposano out and left. Will make the put out. Hal Morris, who was just called up today from Columbus, will pinch hit for Gary Ward.
Number 38.
This will be Morris's first major league at bat. Youngster just called up.
Hit 290 down at Columbus with 3 home runs, 34 RBIs. And played in 99 games.
A good hack at his first major league pitch, huh?
Sure
I can
emptied a couple of
guarantee
seats
you
up there.
there's some butterflies going through this young man's stomach right now. "23 years old, from Munster, Indiana. Base hit, first major
at
league.
bat. How about that one?
Good for you, Mr. Morris. Get that ball. Watch the smile. I guarantee you he smiles. You got to smile. Mike Ferraro, first base coach, wants to make sure he gets that ball. That's great. First major league hit in his first major league at bat.
The second baseman, number 13.
Well, Tom Hankey is making his way down to the bullpen.
Nice swing right here.
Went with a pitch.
I guarantee he's calling home tonight, huh? Guess what I did? Tom Hankey begins to start the throw. They'll play behind the runner at first base.
The name Dwayne Ward will stick with Hal Morris the rest of his life. He'll always remember that first at bat in the major leagues. Willie Randolph, as you saw, 0 for 3 tonight. Clark out at second and Morris at first. Boy, Ward needs this for a confidence builder. He needs to get the job done here in the 9th inning. Ground ball, Kelly Gruber, it's a fair ball. He has only 1 play. And the game is over as Dwayne Ward gets the job done.
Dwayne Ward needed that for his boost in confidence after 5 rocky starts, but a double play ends it for the Yankees tonight. What a fine performance by the Blue Jays overall. George Bell out to congratulate his teammates. Really looks kind of relaxed, enjoying things. Hopefully, he and Jimmy Williams will get things ironed out, and this ball club will get on a winning streak. But a good effort tonight by everybody. Jeff Musselman, after a shaky first inning, turned it around, had a nice outing. His 3rd win in a row since coming back. Ernie Witt, Fred McGriff with home runs.
So the Blue Jays right now 10 games back at Detroit as the Tigers won the first game of their doubleheader. So Jeff Musselman 7 2/3 and gets his 3rd win of the season. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the
Blue Jays win their 51st game of the season. They're 1 game under 500. And for the Yankees, they're 58 42, 16 over 500. And now they're a game and a half behind Detroit. But Jeff Musselman, 108 pitches tonight, and left with a blister, and that might create a problem for him, even though he got his 3rd win.
Hopefully he'll be able to rebound, and that thing will heal up quickly and not miss a start.
So the Blue Jays win it 7-1. Musselman 3-0, and McGriff with his 23rd, and Witt with his 5th. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Labatt Blue Jays baseball has been brought to you by Petro-Canada Dealers and Agents. Our energy is Canada. And by General Motors of Canada Limited. This has been a special presentation of the Sports Network, produced in association with TV Labatt by authority of the Toronto Blue Jays, and may not be rebroadcast in any form without the express written consent of the Blue Jays. The final score, the Jays beat the Yankees 7-1. The winning pitcher, Jeff Musselman, at 3-0. The loser, Rich Dotson, at 8-4. The Labatt's players of the game for Toronto, Jeff Musselman. He'll receive the Hitachi 3D Super Woofer. And for New York, Rafael Santana. He'll receive the new Canon Sure Shot Multi-Telly. As well, an amateur baseball team will be the guests of Musselman and Hitachi at an upcoming game. Blue Jay relief pitchers receive the Skill Super Twist cordless power screwdriver. When the pressure's on, count on Skill. And Electro Blade, a new revolution in blade shaving by Remington. Major League Baseball next on TSN, Monday, August the 1st at 1:30 Eastern, when the Jays host the Minnesota Twins. Then on Tuesday the 2nd at 7:30 Eastern, the Expos will be in Pittsburgh to face the Pirates. Our baseball magic winner tonight, Kathy Bell of Burlington, Ontario. Now, stay tuned for extra innings. Our guest catcher, Ernie Witt, will be taking your calls in just a couple of minutes.